Dave,
Dave, Dan,
and, and, met with Dawn, and they went over the animal shelter and everything, and it was just the two of them, and, to get more clarification on what we wanted and all of that, and, so why don't you tell us how that went and what you did?
So I didn't. I do have that. So this is my little, I know you probably all can't see this, but. So, this is, he did it pretty quick too. So this is the plan that we seen at the meeting that we talked about. So, the circle stuff here is what, I asked him to change. So, we talked about there being some sort of window between that cat room and the adoption room, the new one, up above. So, there can be a window there that it doesn't need to be open, because then you're messing with air. In each room, they're gonna have their own.
The narrow.
Yeah, so it can't be open because of that, and it can't probably be screened, because if a cat gets out somewhere, that's the first place they're gonna go. So it's okay to have a window there for light, so we're not gonna screen it or anything like that, cause I can't have any cats, getting up there and trying to claw through to the other side. Cats like to go up. And then, okay, so that's that. Okay, so,
It just tells the changes that.
yes, this is what, and he just sent this to
Everybody. got it.
wherever, but, if you don't understand, so anyways. So this is the old adoption room right here, and the new one, they have that door there. I had him change the flow, I had him add a door here into that cat quarantine, cause he only had a door over here. And then we'd have to walk all the way from the feeding area, all the way through here and go around. So it wasn't a needed flow. And then I had him add a door on this outside here, because you can't get those monkey cages in through, around the corner. Cause he had a hallway and a door here and a door outside, but you're not gonna go around the corner with those monkey cages. So the door is here, so you can pull them forward and then pull them outside. That makes sense? Otherwise, yeah, we won't be around any corners.
Good morning, sorry, Mike.
What was the other?
Last time.
Let's see, I gotta look at this, okay, so,
There weren't a whole lot of changes.
no, there, I just added a door there and but when you add the door there, you have to, cause there's cages that were in front of that, where I had added a door, so he, I don't know exactly what he did, I don't know if he pulled it out a little bit, or if he just rearranged, I don't know the dimensions that he was supposed to, I don't know exactly what he had to do, but he did change it. And then we talked about, let's see, the doors on the cat room, the multi-cat rooms. The ones we have now, when you open the door, you're basically pushing all of their stuff, so the doors go, cause they open inward, so it leaves less room. So I just asked him if he could maybe implement, sliding doors instead. So that when you open them,
like
You're not-
pocket doors,
yeah, you're not losing any
They go into the
space,
wall.
right? They go to the wall, or however it's set up, so that was that. And I think here in that little work area that he added, he just added counter space and stuff. Also, the one thing that they didn't add on this new plan was a way for the staff to hang their coats or put their purses, or volunteers, we don't have any of that there, so they just pile up either in my office or which isn't really ideal. If we're all busy and someone comes in, God forbid, they take something from somebody. So what he did was he added a doorway to the laundry room. And then where the door is, you know what room I'm talking about, right, that little meet and greet, that's really too small for a meet and greet. And he'd get rid of that outside door in the hallway, so that would be just a wall, and there's nothing there. And then that way, employees can go in there without the public being able to go in, you know what I mean? Cause there's really nothing there. So it just opens a doorway, and then you have a little, there's already a sink and stuff in there. I think that was it, and I think Paula had asked about drains. He said he's not adding That's here, so I don't know if you missed it, I had him add a door on this side, because you can't pull the cages out around the corner. So there probably will be a drain in here, but normally we're not gonna, we're gonna try to pull them outside instead. Otherwise, that whole
Oh, I
entire room will have to be water resistant, you know what I mean? So they'll get pulled outside.
You maybe do that.
No, we just deal with it, if it's too cold, we just deal with it, 'cause we're not gonna really bring anything out in the winter. So if the weather's nice, we can pull them out, but the winter time you can't do that. Hopefully this area here won't be such a big deal, because hopefully there won't be any sick, cats back there, there shouldn't be, but, things happen. I think that was it on this sketch.
Okay, yeah, we've already received that in the packets and everything.
So if you didn't know what was changed, that was what we talked about.
So that was that,
He was there for a couple hours, so he's got a better understanding of exactly what's going on.
I think, we're just gonna kind of fold this into it because, the meeting with the architect and everything, and then the result of that meeting, we just got on, 2 days ago, the prices for this. And I think, you've all looked at it
Well, had heard that?
and seen the totals. And obviously, was not what we were expecting.
Well, I was gonna say, I think that the shelter building now, I think they cut a lot of corners. Cause there's a lot of things, especially the multi-cat rooms, that one that's on the outside wall there, that room is freezing. The floor is freezing, I don't know, it's really, when if you sit on the floor to hang out with the cats, it is cold. And there's vents on the bottom walls to go into those rooms, but they're just airflow vents.
Oh, okay.
But heat rises,
Right, exactly.
especially in there, you can get on one of those step stools and you can feel the complete difference of the heat. So the heat's not going into them, I mean, they're not outside and they have the big windows, but they're cold.
I'm just curious, are there any ceiling fans in there? That would help.
Probably, yeah, it would push all the air down. But you can tell which rooms, the laundry room gets really warm, the back garage area, that heat all goes, and you can tell, if you get up to between those cats and the high kennels, it's hot up there. But yeah, there's no, and I don't know if you can have fans in some, because the ceilings aren't really that tall, and when you get up and you're trying to clean, you're gonna smack it up.
I got a couple of questions, Dawn.
Sure.
Number one, when he gave us his packet, the final cost, is it possible that they could sit down and split out how we're gonna operate the old building? What we're gonna put into the new building, split these costs? The other
Probably,
thing
I don't know if any of these are upgrading the old building or not, except for maybe that, like,
The
the little employee lounge and,
Yeah, and your doors and all that other
yeah.
stuff.
I mean, so I'm not-
That would be a little bit better. The other thing is, I was thinking about this last night, if you had something that wasn't attached to the main building, going west, you know what I mean? Like not a garage, but a cat, we could call it a cat garage. And the thing is, they could have indoor heat, and have their own heat in the windows, but maybe doesn't have to have a huge engineer plan. No, but I mean, not have a huge engineer
No, I
plan.
understand what you're saying, but then we would have to have double, I'd have to have another
Oh, yeah.
feeding station over there, because we're not gonna go outside and cart all that food and litter into that area, you know what I mean? And then, if we're in the other buildings, that's where the phone is, we can't, and people wanna go
Yeah.
in there, I only have 3 employees.
Yeah.
And on the weekend, there's only 1 employee, so they'd have to, you wouldn't be able to leave that building unsupervised and go into the other one. So that's
Right.
why it's just,
But the only thing is, when I was on the city council, we actually built a lawn museum for $300,000, that didn't have in-floor heat, scabbed in bathrooms, all that stuff. It insulated, it metal roof and everything, and that was $300,000. And I'm sure it's probably bigger than what this is,
Yeah.
So I sure that when we present it to the public, we wanna make
Yeah.
sure that we got all our ducks in a row.
Right, I mean, it's something you can ask, it would be,
Because everyone,
pain though.
you know, every municipality, everybody is, you know, kind of stretched for dollars, you know, that kind of thing. So you know what I mean?
I'm just curious, something that stood out to me, and, do we have a generator out there now?
Yes,
Okay, so am I looking at this right, or are they proposing a new generator for $45,000?
where is this at?
Well, it's on electrical, it's 16. That's what it-
Maybe they don't know I mean, there's one out there that's, I mean, I guess you're gonna have to have a meeting and find out,
Yeah, I mean,
cause that
that,
would take, we don't
that's
need
a-
a new generator.
that's a huge chunk of change right there.
Yeah, cause some of the stuff, maybe they don't realize that that's, is that, well, they said natural gas here, what is ours hooked to, electric? Or is ours natural gas?
We just had a new one put in,
It says new genset.
a Kohler generator.
What?
Oh, wow.
Where?
We have a generator that's
Oh,
Division
downstairs.
16, electrical.
Oh, 16.
newer one too? Did they just, that generator, that was the air conditioning?
I think,
Because some of this stuff, maybe they just don't, I mean, that is a new, and then it works.
Maybe there's something they just automatically include on a
It
new plan.
very well could be, yeah.
So, yeah, I guess we need to.
I would ask them, cause some of the stuff, maybe that's just automatically in there.
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, we're gonna need to have them come here and just.
And some of this stuff too, like number 32 exterior improvement, like the dog meet and greet pavilion, that stuff, you know, that's $15,000 right there, that doesn't have to be done right away.
Yeah,
You know what I mean, for that, there are things in here that maybe, cause that doesn't,
Get stuff that needs to be
get
done.
the stuff, and then this can be, I'm sure it's been added because we talked about it, cause there really isn't a nice meet and greet outside for dogs, it's kinda, but that is not something that we need, you know, right away.
It's operated.
And I thought our generator is either, well, it wouldn't make sense if it's electric, so it already has to be, right?
either that or propane, or gas, or diesel.
So maybe they're just not aware that that is a new, I don't know how new it is, but,
Well, most generators, are natural gas,
Yeah.
battery, they have their own battery.
cause that thing just, if the lights go out or whatever, that thing just comes on all by
Starts right
itself,
up.
yeah.
That's what it's supposed to
So
be.
maybe they're not aware that that is a new,
well, they might be saying that it's not big enough to handle if you add
That's what I wanted.
That's
to-
possible.
the same
well.
side or, size, extra space.
so that's.
I think one thing we gotta look at here, obviously, this is a no-go right now. I think what
Start
we need
raising
to
money.
do is, how do you wanna proceed with this and what do you wanna do? I think a lot of this is, I think most of it is probably the new building. I don't think there's a lot that was going back. But again, that's something, you know, we can look at. Like if we start with well, on the first page there, I mean, with division 0 and 1, you know, they've got a lot of temporary, well, a lot of that's zero, but a lot of them are ridiculous. The superintendent, 33,000, job equipment. For renting it, that's 25,000, so I mean, you're talking about, you know, a good hunk there. And you look at a lot of these things, a lot of it is, you know,
Trees,
little things, you know, 500 here, 900 here, you know, little things like, of course, it does add up, but, I mean, if you look under Division 6 carpentry, that's almost $150,000 for the framing and everything. And from when, like you said, when they built the plow museum, that's been a number of years ago now, and the construction costs have soared since then.
Yeah, they've almost
Yeah.
doubled, I mean, everything.
It's really gone up, but this, I don't think we were expecting quite this much.
Oh, yeah, and when you look at that front page, that first 85,000, before the rubber even meets the road, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
You don't wanna get
That,
so I guess, you know, how do you wanna proceed with this?
I would get a meeting and ask him to break all, you know, like, do we need a new generator?
Get them
Because
here and go
ours-
through this line by line.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
because
what I
some of
say,
this
let's
stuff-
sit down with them and go right to, and have him come here.
Cause the generator's a big
Yeah,
question.
Well, it
it
could
might
be-
take all morning to ask them all.
It
but-
could be,
Let's look at it.
Yeah.
we could have another Zoom meeting and have that in here.
Cause we
if that's-
certainly wouldn't want that number to get out in the public if we had to, you know, I mean, too much, cause then they panic right away, you know, that part of it. So you just wanna keep, you know, we want the public to know we're trying to scale it down, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think that's our next step, cause this is the first time we've seen this blueprint of costs.
Yeah. Or-
Yeah.
yeah.
I know people would be upset if they were spending that much money on cats but not dogs, based on the numbers. I've heard that already, that we don't need a cat in the place for the cats, you got too many cats, just get rid of them.
They didn't make it for, they
I know.
basically took what they already had. And because from what I understand, the last shelter only had what, 6 adoption kennels for cats or something, and, or maybe a little bit more, but only 6 kennels for dogs.
Yeah,
Yeah,
But they only added 2 more kennels.
Right.
I only have 8 dog kennels, I have 2 impound kennels, but they can't stay in there, that's just an overnight. And then the 6 impound kennels that they put in there, they can't, there's no windows in there, those rooms get cold, they can't stay in there for more than,
yeah,
it's hard on them, and then the other cats are in the storage room, so they didn't build it for,
and people didn't realize what the conditions were of the other one for the cats.
Yeah.
right,
Well,
so
how they had it before, they had cats in the garage.
Yeah.
they're still in the garage.
But I mean,
Oh,
I know,
instead of the
Yeah.
garage with no
Yeah.
heat at all.
And the ones the rats were visiting.
Yeah.
And stealing food from the cats.
So if they would've,
They
maybe,
did, there was a cat that got bit.
I mean, if they would've thought about it a little bit, they could've done this, it could've been done already, like,
Right.
it
We're
wouldn't
gonna
have had
went
to
a
be
little
much
bit
of
bigger
a,
in the initial goal.
yeah.
But
Cause
if
there's
we-
rooms,
My neighborhood.
there's rooms that were not created that should've been created.
If we separate the cost, like when we're stepping down with the gentleman, we can figure out, hey, what we could've did with the old building and make it better in the beginning, which would help to satisfy the public, you know what I mean? 'Cause how many people from the public ever never walked through the animal shelter? Probably very few. The other thing is, then we have them costs separated, you know what I mean? To make a working building again, and then all of a sudden we put this addition here, you know what I mean? And if we separate the two, I think the public will have just a little bit better idea. Hey, we're trying to upgrade the whole facility, not just focus on the cat building, you know what I mean?
The other thing they did too is they put the dog impound. The wall in the dog impound is the same wall in the garage where the cats are. And if you have dogs in there overnight, and they bark, we had cats that were so cause it actually vibrates the walls, there's no soundproof between those walls. And it sounds like the dogs are right in the same room, right on top of those cats. So it's very, so I'm not sure who thought all that out, but.
No, but I mean, these are good things to bring up, though, you know, you're not truthful. None of us on the committee probably do that, you know.
I think.
So now you're gonna pay for it.
Yeah.
Well, I
Now
think,
you're gonna pay for it.
I think we've all agreed that they built the current animal shelter with the funds available at that time.
Yeah.
And there was political pressure and stuff like that. So I think we've gotta look at that as kind of water under the bridge at this point and move forward. I think what I'm hearing you say is we need another meeting, whether in person or via Zoom, because I think the Zoom one worked out pretty well. But maybe have them say how much of these costs or what costs are to update or maintain the old part of the building, and then how much are just for the new addition. And that way,
Cause I know he said you could, some of this stuff you can do at a later date, so that, I think everything's in here, so we could have them,
but I
So which is which.
I think again, we don't wanna be like, okay, we'll get the cheapest thing again, and then 5 years down the road, now we're in the same
I don't think these guys
position.
cut corners, so So I don't think
I
they're
think
gonna
they
give you
did a
that option.
thorough,
Yeah, I don't think they're gonna be like, yeah, sure, we can use this, but it's gonna, you know, but I don't think they're gonna do that.
Yeah, they're not gonna do that.
That's their
Have
name on the
it,
building, that's,
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah.
They're gonna-
And because it's a joint, you know, I'm a representative from the city,
Yeah,
but because it's a joint owned building, now remember, we're also gonna, we have the resolution for the county board, to make that your helper a full-time person. You know what I mean, so your budget's gonna go a little bit, you know, gonna go up, you know. And the other thing, you know, well, no, but I mean, the timing, you know what I
Right.
mean, is you just gotta take one step at a time. Get through the
Well, I have
February meeting and then we meet with the architect for some
I
time,
have a question.
yes.
When we started this process of adding on, it was our understanding of the Fracas group that between Joanne and us, we were supposed to pay for it and the city and county weren't gonna help.
Yeah, but I mean,
But
with
that's what,
the, you didn't realize this
but
first
I,
go around.
no, but I mean, does the city and county plan on helping with?
City, I don't think
I
that's.
have no idea,
County
they
has
have no
funds.
idea what.
County has
they're-
building and gift fund.
I don't think
So
so.
it's from the gift fund,
City's not gonna help?
I don't think the city or county is going to put any money into
Yeah.
it.
other than the gift fund.
Yeah, there's, right.
Well, no, but I'm just saying that those are the things we have to
Well,
work
I
out.
know, but I mean, I was just gonna clarify because I just dropped my mouth, you know, I mean, I don't know how our little group,
Yeah,
three
yeah.
people,
That's a lot of fun.
and Joanne and the gift fund is gonna.
You're baking a lot of pies.
And,
well, you can put, you can create on your website, one of those little donation things on your Facebook, where they can just use PayPal.
Aaron already said that, yeah.
Grant writing, I mean, this, obviously, if it's gonna be this much,
Yeah.
it may take us a little bit longer, but if you start doing that stuff now,
Yeah,
Get it started on it.
start writing grant, cause we can't, I don't think the shelter itself can get grants, cause we're not a 501c3, not in the way that you guys can.
No,
Well, you
know
don't
what I
have to
mean?
be,
We're governed.
Karen used to.
you don't have to be a
Aaron.
501.
Aaron did.
No, I'm saying Karen.
No,
I
but
mean, I
Karen-
get
Karen,
grants
the
from the
old
Life
shelter.
Foundation, but that's
Oh,
not.
Karen, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's. maybe what
I
it's-
think,
No,
I think if, when we have another meeting, that seems to be the consensus of everybody, on Zoom or otherwise, if we can have them break out maybe the stuff that relates to the old part, I think that would be one way to go back to the city, county, and say, this is what's needed to fix this, but I'm telling you now, the sentiment that I can see is totally against any help. I mean, we're fighting to get maybe even ARPA money just to pave the driveway, and we aren't planning to do that because we wanted this done, we didn't wanna pave the driveway and have it all torn up when they went ahead and started building this addition. So, and the ARPA money has to be obligated by 12/31 of this year, and the work has to be done by December 31st of 2026. So, we could probably get it obligated, but again, how much is that gonna cost? The only money that I know that from ARPA, I mean, I put in for more ARPA funds and everything, and of course, that was denied. So I really don't think that we can count on money from that, I mean, we can try, but again, we would have to say, well, this is really for, you know, to bring the old section up to where it should be. If they didn't break these costs out, that might be one slim chance of doing something
Yeah.
that way.
Yeah.
But I would not count on, there's quite negativity on a lot of this, I think from the public, and, well, I shouldn't say from the public, but from the board members and things like that, but so what I hear you saying is, we need another meeting with them, asking them to kind of divide these costs out. What would be the, maybe more or less related to the old section, and maybe what's related to the new section, and what would be the absolute minimum amount. But again, I don't want it that we're gonna go with the cheapest thing and end up in the situation that we have now with the ambulance shelter. You know, then we're right back in the same old boat. And
And if we have a pain in the tummy, then I think we should have it.
Well, I think this would be part of their, the amount that they agreed to do, I don't know, we haven't, as far as I know, we haven't
We need to
gotten
find out.
because they have here on the front page, professional schematic design fees, proposal 6,500. And whether, I think we're still in that, we're still in the schematic design,
Right.
uh,
Yeah.
you know, thing. We're not beyond that yet, because once we go beyond that, then it's gonna be, you know, additional costs and everything too.
Because once we set the plan, Terry, then you'll send it into the state to get the approval. They haven't did that yet, so I think we're still in that 6,500 range, because we really don't know what it's gonna look like. Like, just to ask them to break the costs out, shouldn't be a big, real big, you know, request from us. Shouldn't be thousands of dollars more, you know.
Part of the
Yeah, right.
regular thing.
So any other suggestions about this? I think we were, well, I was a little surprised by this. I think originally we were kind of thinking about maybe
Couple
150 to 200 at, 200 at the max.
But these could be like fees that, I mean, you know, sometimes when you do these, you do the max, because that way, you don't come at the end and go, well, so he might come in, you know,
Cut back on this, cut back on that.
yeah. I mean, there's an HVAC fee in here for, that's $57,000, modified and options, you know,
Well, they always put that,
yeah.
and then the due date, shovel ready by July 2024, well, my God, we're, hey, when
I'll
you
try
see
to look
that on
into
the
some
bottom
grants,
page,
but I really don't have time
no, I
to
mean,
do anything else.
we can't be pressed, well, look at the elections coming up, they're gonna
Aaron,
be new
great
board
points.
members.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, there's gonna be a lot of new board members, so.
There'll be a minimum of 8 new board members. So it'll be, you know, a whole new board. That's why at our next meeting, not our next meeting, but the county board meeting on February 27th, on the agenda, just so you remember that board meeting's been changed from 9 in the morning to 7 at night.
Yes, that's 7
Wow.
at night.
It'll be a long day,
What?
it'll be a long day.
Yes, so we will be presenting, I'll be having a resolution to approve, moving one part-time worker to full-time in the job description, and then to move it on to, Detman Carlson to price it and everything.
Right. We need to, on those lines, we need to make sure, Terry, that, the board understands about this, that it is a part-time position going to full-time, so they don't think we're just hiring a
No,
regular
they,
full-time.
I think they're,
Well,
Yeah, you gotta.
we gotta make
Double
that
check.
clear at the meeting, we don't
Yes.
assume anything with this, because we want it to get through.
And
well,
another
so-
thing,
You know what
personnel,
happens when you assume
pers-
something, so we need to, and the other thing that we need to make sure of is that we have figures to present to the board that will give the board, a cost, an estimated cost, depending on what Carlson Detman decides, but we can kinda guesstimate
yeah.
what that wage will come in at. We need to have those figures for the
Yeah,
board.
cause when they ask me finances, I don't.
I already have that, but again,
But I mean,
It's-
this needs to be brought up out at the meeting, so that the board understands and knows just exactly what we're asking for.
Right,
Would-
and the other thing, Terry, would be beneficial, Dawn, if you're at the meeting, if there's
She's gonna be-
questions about why all of a sudden, then Dawn, you can stand up, because we have director's reports from the highway commissioner and the forestry and everybody else. You could stand up and say, hey, you know, last year I went without my vacation, last year I went, no, but I mean, just tell the rest of the board members, cause only finance and personnel have heard what you said, except for us. When you said that day, I was pretty impressed, just a little bit you said, because none of our other department heads go without. And you know what, you shouldn't either. And you know, really, I think that she should be there, you know what I mean,
No, I
just to
agree.
say, hey, here's the deal. You know what, all 19 can, hey, this could settle in, and it was dramatic to me, cause I'm on the board, never heard it before. You know what? It's right, what's right is right, and you know what, you should have your time off, you should be able to take a rest, you should be able to do this, and you know what, no, hey, we don't expect anybody else not to do it. You know what I mean?
Exactly right.
And legally, sometimes you can't expect somebody to do it.
Well, I'm not basically on call 24/7,
Well, no, but I'm just saying that, hey,
which is fine, but.
Did you mention?
It really isn't fine.
That you
I
don't
know,
have,
yeah.
I know.
Hey, Tom, you're right, and that's what we need to.
you mentioned
work
at that
it
meeting too, that you don't have the full-time, not full-time, but the volunteers that you did before, or Karen did before?
No, I did not mention that.
No, that, I would not mention that, because.
I didn't mention it because a lot of stuff was, I just didn't wanna bring it, so I mean, we're.
Okay.
No.
What I'm planning on is, I'm going to be introducing it, there, it'll be like we did for personnel. I'll do a quick, very quick thing, then turn over to her. We're going to have like a lot of the handouts that she had,
Oh, good.
that was that, and that will be in the
Okay.
board packet, and that will be online and all of that stuff. And then, the only thing is, we went about 45 minutes in personnel. We've gotta get that down to 10 or 15 minutes max. If they ask questions, that's a different thing, but come out and just simply say, this is the reason we're here, we need to get this passed. People leave, her part-time help leaves at 2 in the afternoon, that means she's the only one there for the rest of the day, and if there's dogs running wild, she's gotta go out and do something, she's gotta shut the shelter down, and go through the same thing that we did for personnel, and then have the handouts there, she can, then I'll, turn over to Dawn, and then, just like we did at personnel, and then have you just hit the highlights. I wouldn't even go through all of them, you just say, okay, on this one, this was last year's thing, these are the boom, 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 maybe 2 or 3 points on that, cause we've gotta condense it way down. And then get through that, and then, are there any questions and everything, and then I think, those that were on personnel that voted for it, except for one person, they may chime in too, and the rest of us can, make comments too. And so, hopefully, this will get passed in that way. As far as the costs and everything, I already have the cost, but again, we're basing it on the current rate of a part-time person and assuming that they get that when they go to full-time. We know that's gonna change, but we can't give any other information because Carlton Dittman has to approve it and plot it, on the thing. So, and we may not say anything about that if it comes up. I've got it here, we're not gonna put it in the packet or anything, but we're ready in case, that comes up. That, because we can just say, we don't, like, for example, Norman, when they figure this, they figure it on a family insurance for a family. Well, you're single, or you,
She's single, so there's no family issue there.
for her, right, and so, that way we can say, well, we normally, when we present this, we do the highest possible cost, so you know what it is, because if she leaves and somebody else comes in, that's already in there. But, on this, just to let you know, and then we did this at personnel, that, the adoption fees have gone up this year, and just based on what last year's adoptions, just the increase in fees, there's $5,500, there to offset that. I think I wanna try and avoid getting into specifics there, cause they're gonna say, well, how is that gonna work? We're just going to have it for, for this year, it could be taken out contingency or something, how are you gonna fund it going forward? And if it comes down to it, well, then it's gonna have to go, the levy is going to have to go up, But I think we'll approach it kind of the same way we did personnel. I'll do a quick introduction and make it short, quick, and if they wanna keep asking a lot of questions, that's great, then they're the ones driving it, rather than us trying to stuff it down their throats. But that's-
It was a nice deal too, Terry, with that handout you gave me, Dawn.
Mm-hmm,
You remember I came out and clarified it with you?
yep,
I put it in the city council.
I know, I heard.
And man, hey, it
I
was.
heard I did really good at a meeting I wasn't even at.
Hey, well, no, but I was kind of,
Thank you.
well, no, but I mean, hey, I wanted them to know that, hey, what this is, you just isn't one-stop shopping, isn't like the drive-through at McDonald's. you know, there's a lot of stuff going on there. And by God, hey, they were pretty impressed with that pack you gave me, those numbers for the last year. You know, I think we should share it with not only there, but the
Well, it
board
took me a year to get it
and
together.
and the
All I did was
public,
like catch up.
you know, and the public, you know what I mean? 'Cause a lot of
We
people.
put it on our website,
Oh, yeah,
yeah, on our
yeah.
Facebook, yeah.
But I mean, I wanna make sure, cause I know you weren't gonna be at the meeting, but I did put it in their packet. And, cause I had never, all the years I've been on the council, I'd never seen one. I'd
Don't
never
think
seen the
anyone's ever
annual
gave you one.
report from them. Well, no, but you did a wonderful job. So,
Okay, anything else you guys, I mean, any other comments or anything on the quote that we got or anything? So we should,
Yes, can I
Yeah,
ask the
go ahead.
question? The whole amount of this and their proposal, are they the contractors? Are they going to have a superintendent? Are we hiring, are they just giving us a price for the superintendent? I mean, are these all estimates of costs that we should anticipate? Or are they going to be doing a lot of the whole
if we.
building
we-
process?
We can hire them as a contractor or to do this. They're putting in and say, okay, if you're putting up this building, this is how much it's gonna cost. So that's including stuff
But
like
is this an
that.
estimate that you guys put out an RFP for, or is this
No,
the
no,
real
there's
that's-
no
price?
RFP, no
it's the
RFP.
engineers.
We just got this is not an this is their thing. These are the drawings and everything. We can select them to be the contractor and everything like that. Of course, that's additional fee, and that's what these other amounts in here. What we contracted with them for right now is simply the schematic drawings, the architect's drawings.
Right, but what I'm asking is, I'm specifically saying you are not able to put this out to contractors through an RFP
We could.
with the
but-
drawings that are given
but-
in the end?
Well, but we gotta agree on what we want first,
That's totally understood.
because we
But
don't.
this price would change if it was bid out, or if this is the price that you have to go with, that's the question,
Yeah,
right? The
and
question is this
we
the
don't-
real price that can only be deviated from a little bit? Or can the plans be taken and put out for an RFP with local contractors that could give a whole different price?
Right.
Total-
I think,
I don't know, I'm not sure we know how to answer that, so.
I,
But do you understand,
I
But that's,
understand
that's
your
a
question.
big question.
but that's
I
your,
understand
but that's
your
a question, and that's, right,
But
that's the only,
again, these were as of July here, the longer we wait, the costs are gonna go up.
that is totally understood, but the question is this the real price that you can only make modifications to? Or are the, if
No.
they, right, or can you take the plans and put them out through a standard RFP process that would then bring your bargaining down to a different level, just like we're doing with all other things in the county? That's
I
where the
think
question
we-
lies of which is which, and I think we need to know what the answer is.
I
And
think
you
we-
don't need to know that today, that's just an answer you guys need to know.
I think we can issue an RFP, they can be one of them. Again, but until we tell, cause the RFP, we will have to state exactly what we want.
Totally
And if we're
understood.
going by these plans or the plans that they have, that will be what the bid would be going out for. And right now, we don't know, because we don't know.
Do we even know that we could, you know, put these plans out for other people that they draw? I mean, are these our plans if we pay this $6,500, are these our plans?
Well, that's what we need a Zoom meeting for to find out.
That's what I
Or
mean.
get that.
Yeah, I mean, before we can actually
Right.
look for different contractors to build the thing, we have to know if those plans are actually ours, or if they go with this package.
Right.
And, you know, if we go with somebody else, then we have to get new plans drawn up.
I think, well, not knowing for sure, I would say these are our plans, because they're only contracted to come up with plans. They're not contracted to do the construction or anything like that at this point. We
I
could,
mean, they have a lot of, there's a lot of costs here associated with construction, so.
Right.
But those are
and
probably
to
all
me that
estimates,
indicates-
so, yeah.
To me, that indicates that, yeah, they have plans to build it too, you know.
But maybe they hope to.
But, so what we need to, bottom line, what we need to find out is that, are these plans ours?
right,
With that $6,500, we own these plans, can we share these plans with another contractor and say, can you build this and for how much?
Right,
Not build it wrong.
Yeah.
But-
And then
That's what
do
we're
it.
hoping to do. As a fundraising group, I think that's what we were hoping to be able to do, right? We were hoping to get plans that were like what the board wanted, to then turn around and ask local contractors, what's your estimate to build this? And begin fundraising based off that estimate, which it's clear that there's this paper from the architects that give us an estimate to know what to fundraise off of, right? Like if that's what we're to move forward. But there's gonna be a world of difference, just as we saw with the price to tear down the hospital. We have a local contractor versus people from out of town, and the range was $100,000 or $50,000 to $1 million in difference, right? So we're asking a contractor that's not from our area as opposed to local people, and that was the answer that was given of why Haas's bid came in so low, was because they're here, their people are here. So there's gonna be a world of difference in price, even though it's still gonna be astronomical, there still should be a huge difference in price from our local contractors compared to what is seen right here. And so I would think is what we thought as fundraisers is getting an estimate to know what to go off of. And this is an estimate that we can go off of, but it would also be good to know if those are our plans, your plans, to go and take to someone else.
And if we don't take them, then do we have to pay the $11,500?
I think you would.
Oh yeah, the plans are
Because they-
always,
they-
the plans are done,
Being
yeah.
here for the visits.
We'll have to pay that.
Well, I mean, 65.
Instead of the 65.
65.
Oh, no. The
But-
6,500.
no,
But, yeah, but that's in kind, they give that 5,000 in kind, so if we don't go with them,
Right, do the whole thing.
then we have to pay the 11,500.
Well, no, but I think that the agreement was just for the design,
Right.
you know, design fee. I think that we hired them to do the design with our, you know, with our approval. And you know what, we don't have the design yet. We don't have the design. When we're done, we get the design, then the next step is where do we go from there? Do we go with them or do we go with them? But I agree with, Joanne, when you brought up there's a lot of buildings been built in the city here and in the county where, you know, we've asked Lambert Yards, we've asked Tony Lumber, we asked a whole bunch of different organizations locally to come up with a plan, even Harmony to come up with a plan, and, you know, an engineered plan beyond that. Well, no, but I mean, you used to see.
Yes, I know what you,
Sometimes
right, in the
in
past.
in the thick of things, those folks a lot of times just donated engineered plans to us, so, you know what I mean? So, but I mean, you know, there's a way of doing it, but let's get the person here first to talk.
I think you've seen the results of having somebody who did not do animal shelters when they did the current animal shelters.
Yes.
And that's what we want to avoid. I think
Right,
these people do know,
Right.
you know, and they seem to be willing to work and stuff like that. So, okay, so we need
But
to
you can't
set up
afford it.
another meeting,
We
so
can't afford
ask
another
them if they
meeting.
can break out these costs between the old section to update that, or what they see that is required for that, plus the new section. I'll check on the RFPs and whether these plans are ours and in kind and everything like that. Any further discussion on this or questions?
I guess then, do we wanna try to get this meeting in yet this month or not?
I would say no, because this month is pretty full with a lot of other stuff. We'll just have to get a hold of them first and see what's what. Because obviously, we're not gonna move forward with this at the present time.
Otherwise, yeah, we won't be meeting until like the 21st of March.
Right.
So, I mean, that's, you know, that's a long time again to put this off.
Well, we've gotta see when they're available and
They're gonna have
give them time
break
to
that
do
cost
it.
out before they meet with us.
Yeah.
They're gonna have to have time to break that cost out. They're probably gonna have a bunch of questions for Dawn too, you know.
So I think we gotta leave the next thing open on that, other than our regular meeting, well, when we get to that. Okay, anything else regarding this? Let's see.
That person can notify you, Terry, you know, when we got the cost broke out. Can accept
They do
it?
that, they
Accept
normally
it?
email, Ashley and myself.
Okay.
Okay, any other items or any other points to bring up on this, other than this was not what we were expecting? Okay, let's move on to the monthly animal shelter operations.
My little,
Okay.
Yeah, one more down, please.
Here, there might be.
Oh,
two
he's got
differences.
extra.
Oh, he's got
in there.
extra.
Should have extra in there.
Thank you.
Alright. So far, I'll just say, we have right now 20 cats at the shelter and 4 dogs. Well, actually, we don't even have 4 dogs anymore, one just got adopted yesterday. So it makes 3 dogs and 2 of them are leaving tomorrow. Well, 1 dog. Don't get excited, but that changes very quickly.
They aren't running in pairs anymore, though, are they, like they did for the 1 week?
I don't know, man, but it was nuts. Anyways, so, first, we haven't, and I don't wanna jinx myself or jinx the shelter, but I don't know if maybe in those 30+ cats we took out of the city of Ladysmith, he did something, cause I've only had 2 cats come in the last, I don't know, 3 weeks. One of them I had to go 20 feet up a tree to get, which I really,
You
am not
climbed
doing
the
again. Yes, I had to climb a 20-foot ladder.
Okay, what do you do, I'm just curious, what do you do with the cat? Did you have a cage up there with you, or you
Oh,
just
heck,
hold?
no, I was lucky I got up there by myself. No, I just.
Tuck it under your arm and.
No, the cat held on to me like it was a baby. It was a nice
Can
cat.
you get your shots afterwards? Oh, jeez.
I was, I'm afraid of heights, but
Oh, jeez.
Goody.
I wasn't gonna let the 2 elderly people, worry about the cat screaming and yelling.
Oh,
It
cats-
probably got chased up there by an animal.
Cats were out screaming at the elderly people.
The cat was screaming.
Okay.
It couldn't get that, I mean, most cats, if they're used to climbing trees, they probably could.
Yeah.
That cat wasn't coming, that cat wasn't going nowhere. But I got up there and me and the cat was about as scared as I was. And the guy down there, he's like, Dawn, I hate to tell you this, you're gonna have to take 1 more step up that ladder. And I'm like, I don't know if I can. If I take another step, there's no more ladder. It's just me and this big old tree and this cat. He's like, you're gonna have to lean up against the tree. And I was like, I did though. It was alright, I survived. Okay, so far this year for kitties, we took in, 7 strays, 3 surrenders, 2 returns. We had 17 adoptions and we transferred out 13. Dogs, we had 17 stray dogs come in, 1 surrender, 1 return, 1 was an impound, 1 was a quarantine. We had 7 dogs adopted, 16 reclaimed, and the 2 transfers will be going to St. Paul, Minnesota tomorrow. We're just meeting halfway. And then we, spayed and neutered 5 shelter dogs and 13 cats. Handed out 34 spay neuter vouchers so far this year. 20 cats at the shelter, 3 dogs at the shelter right now, and there's 3 cats in foster care. As a humane officer, I've written 5 citations, 2 orders of quarantine, and then 1 bite, but no owner was found, no animal. 6 complaints, and I've written 4 warnings.
Dawn, can I ask you a question here?
Sure.
I've had 2 people out in the community, excuse me, ask me about if you have licensed animals, is there a cap on how many licensed animals you can have? Like, could I have, if I have 2 dogs licensed, could I have 10 dogs licensed in one house?
You have as many dogs as you want in Ross County, apparently.
And what about cats?
I got people that got all kinds of dogs.
Oh, yeah.
I
they all
guess
have
you
to
can have
have-
whatever you want. There's no
There is no
limit that
cap.
I'm aware of,
But the city hasn't put a limit on, right?
that I'm aware of. And so if you
They
have,
have.
if you can have, you could have 60 dogs if you want, as long as you have a kennel license for all of them. And as long as you're not breeding talking about. So you have to have a kennel license if you are a groomer, a pet store, a zoo.
Oh, I
You have
see.
to have a license from the state if
In
you
my
are
home.
a breeder.
Yeah, I'm talking about in my,
So
Isn't it
the
12?
kennel license is for 12 dogs, but you could get 3 kennel licenses and have
You're right.
As long as you pay for the
6 dogs
license
if you
you want.
Yeah.
apparently.
A kennel license would encompass 12 animals.
Yes.
12
But you get
Twelve
2
dogs.
kennel if you have 24
Right.
dogs, you get 2 kennel licenses. Or I wanna say if you have 14 dogs, you get a kennel license and then the additional tags, I wanna say are $3 or something. Don't quote me on that.
see, when people have, where I get it, I get a call if somebody in the neighborhood has more than 2 dogs. You know what I mean? If they're licensed, you know
There's
what I mean?
license, they're not breaking the law.
They could have 3 or 4.
You have,
Right.
yep, as long as
Without
they're
a kennel
licensed and rabies vaccinated. Right, 'cause you can have 6 dogs and get 6 separate licenses
Yeah.
for those dogs, you don't have to have a kennel license. But it's cheaper, because state law says that you can have a kennel license for 2 dogs, if you want, even though they're being expensive.
Yeah.
Because the kennel license is $60,
Okay.
the license fee for 1 dog is either $7.50 or $13.50. So depending what you have, you don't have to have 12 dogs to get a kennel license. You can
Oh,
have
I
3
see.
or 4 and
Okay.
get a kennel
Sure.
license. That's in the state statutes. Because it would be cheaper for you at $13.50 a piece, rather than paying that for 4 dogs, or whatever the fees are, I don't know.
Right.
It's cheaper for you to get a kennel license.
And you could do the same thing, in the city, you have to have a cat license.
In the city, the city is different.
Yeah.
They don't have kennel licensing for cats, I do not believe, they just have the little
License, little
license.
tag.
And they don't charge late fees, you can get a cat license whenever you want, all year
Okay.
long.
And then you can have more than
Yep,
2
they're,
cats.
you can have 20 cats, if you want.
Okay, okay. Well, no, but I mean, it's hard to.
As far as I know, there's no limit to any animals that anybody in West County can have or in the city limits,
Okay,
as far as I understand it,
thank you.
but they should be licensed and they're
Except
exactly,
chickens,
Except chickens, yes, you grab the chickens.
except chickens.
yeah, chickens.
You only have
Well,
6.
chickens, you have
Well,
to
I
have
think
a
it's
permit.
fowl.
You gotta have a
Yes.
You
permit.
can't have ducks.
If we
You
just
only have
okayed
chickens,
our
roosters.
permit.
I got
Renew
you.
it. They have to renew it every year,
Yes.
and then go out and inspect.
And the city takes care of that, I
Well,
don't do
I'm
anything
thinking
with
I
it,
could,
Right.
service.
We just-
unless I get a complaint.
For what?
My seizures.
Or one lane
My
right
cat
over here.
consents.
I
across the
have-
street.
It is on my list of things to, break up, and that is an ordinance with a limit. Sometimes that's hard though, like the city, there should be some sort of limit, but when you get out to the other, you've got people that have hunting dogs and, things like that, so you have to be careful, but in the city, somebody shouldn't be having, 20 dogs,
Or 20 cats.
20 cats.
Yeah. Well, that's
Did
what
I answer your
maybe I'll
question?
bring back to them then.
Which I haven't
Cause they
brought
got
it up
legal
yet.
affairs out lined up here for next week, we're gonna talk about some other stuff. So maybe they
There's
put that on.
there's a major dog problem in West County.
Okay.
Just
Well, no, but
major,
I'm talking about the city, believe me.
well, the city too, they're just, wow,
How is the city doing with cats right now, with the cat houses?
I haven't got one complaint, and I wanna say, Chief Julian said that he has not gotten any calls with any stray cats anymore. He said he used to get them all the time.
Oh,
I'm sure there are some around.
Right.
But like I said, we took over 30 cats out of the city of Ladysmith.
Wow.
I think with the nice weather, they would have been out running around.
Yeah, I mean,
too.
we had, at the beginning of the year, we had a couple, stray cats come in, I think we had, well, one was left at the shelter, a couple I picked up, I don't know where, Park Avenue somewhere maybe, we got one, I think was dumped out on, Arthur, what's that, by the hospital there, was a cat dumped.
Port Arthur.
Port Arthur, but I haven't gotten any calls with a bunch of kitties running around, that doesn't mean they're not there though, but it is pretty warm, so normally,
They should be running that.
but I have, all the locations that I know of all the feral cat colonies in the city of Ladysmith and surrounding. I know there's probably still a few more, but I have people out there that will tell me if they start seeing them again, and then we'll start getting our traps. But that is
Sure.
a whole nother, that is a lot of time. And it's me.
Yeah. Well, I know right now,
You know
cause
what I
I live
mean?
right down the street here,
Yeah.
there's fox,
Yeah.
there's foxes in the neighborhood
Mhm.
now. And I think the colony is down by Weather.
Well, and I think, there's also a major, garbage problem
Oh,
in the city
yes.
of Ladysmith. So, just an FYI, you start removing all the cats, and you got all this garbage, you're gonna have some rats and some mice.
Yes.
Right now, those cats out there are killing all those things. But there's a lot of
Double-edged
people, there's a
sword,
lot of
yeah.
people with a lot of garbage
I report anybody.
Yeah,
Well,
it's-
we're already working on that.
in the city.
We
and
just
it's-
had a meeting Monday night.
Yeah, so that's, so
Like a garbage
your cat problem, which it
No,
is,
the
but it's
garbage problem.
probably, knocking down your rodent infestation, and I'm sure
This
it's
was-
gonna be a lot higher when all the cats are gone. It's, they don't figure out the
Okay.
garbage problem.
We're working on it.
It's in people, I mean, it's in people's houses, I mean, just their garages and their basements, I've got, you know, I get,
Or
It's not just about-
they'll eat right through your garage wall.
Well, I know, we've,
I get a lot of pictures of a lot of situations that animals are living in, and, there's a lot of garbage, I don't know why, I don't get it.
you don't rentals. You really
It's,
see.
it's very
Oh, boy.
bad.
Yeah. I think
Maybe I
it's
better
good
have you come to one meeting, John.
Yes, we need the proof.
Okay.
The city's-
Well, I don't, some of the proof I'm not sure that I can legally show anybody, but, I mean, well, maybe I can, nobody's been technically, a couple of them prosecuted, but,
Well, if you have no address,
Believe
no names, maybe.
you got issues.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've heard some of them.
Okay, anything more on shelter operations?
May I ask a question? Dawn, how is the, situation for the spay and neuter vouchers? Do you have a lot left? Do you need to get some more? I mean,
I have to.
that sounds like a lot that have gone out.
It is,
That's
I have
great.
to go, well, remember I handed a bunch out last year, but some people didn't use them, so then I had to subtract that, add that back in. So, I haven't had time, but usually I go in and then I start I get the list and I start subtracting before I end up negative. And then I can figure out exactly what I have. But the last time I did the math, I was fine, but I will go through again and double check and make sure what I have, cause I do have another, our, aluminum can bin is full again, and that usually brings in about 350, 360, depending on the weight. And then I did have the Light Foundation grant at the end of last year, and then I still had money left over from the other donations, so I will figure that out,
Okay.
to make sure we're good.
Okay, anything else for Dawn or the monthly operations? Okay, moving on to budget review. They do not do new financial projections evidently for the first couple of months into the new year. So we do not have anything for 2024. We got an updated 2023, but it was just one or two items on there, so I didn't bother bringing that. So there's nothing new in that, like say, we do not have January bills or anything, they just don't do them for the first couple of months evidently. Then we have, so there's really nothing there. I'll entertain a motion, you've got to review the bills there. I'll entertain a motion to approve
So
the bills.
They got them all from December, don't they?
Okay, any questions on the bills?
Just kinda curious, how big are those Sharps containers? It's like good sized ones.
Well, I can't fit a big one, cause there's no room, but they're about, yeah,
Big as mine, that I got to give myself shots, they're only what, that big.
yeah.
That's like $5, well, they were $5 a piece.
They're like, I don't know what size that is, but they're a size that fits nicely into the cover. And then what I was doing was I was taking those and dumping them in a cat, cause when I got there, all the Sharps containers were full, and I didn't have any, so I had to dump them out into a cat litter bin, which you're not technically supposed to do, because I didn't have any more.
Right.
But, whoever does the Sharps, let me bring them all over, so.
Oh, nice. She left containers full of Sharps that use needles.
Everything, don't ask.
Oh, I
It
can,
wasn't gotten rid of, that's all.
Jim, get me going on.
Nothing, yeah. A lot of cleanup.
Okay, did, motion's been made and seconded. Okay, all those in favor of approving the bills, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same, motion carried. Fracas, any report?
We were just kinda waiting to see how much that estimate was gonna be, but then we were gonna send out letters to all the businesses and stuff to start and see what kind of comeback we get from that. goes, but, Dick said we could even do it in front of the shelter sometime. So, yeah, that too, other than that.
One thing I would suggest is, you know, if you send letters out into the community and businesses, I would wait a little while because of the taxes. And then the other thing is, on Monday night, we have an assessment hearing for Minor Avenue, from the fire hall all the way to the,
Yeah.
well, no, but I mean, you know, where the people can come in and question assessments and stuff like that. If they would get a letter in the next couple of weeks,
Yeah, we were
asking
planning
for a
on doing it
donation.
till
You know,
spring.
some of those assessments are
Yeah.
sizable assessments, and depending on how much of territory you want on the street. So, I would wait a little bit, you know, and just, because, you know,
I know.
yeah, in April or May, you know, people, the sun's out again, they're planting flowers, and you get this letter, you know, you feel a little bit better about it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, we weren't gonna do it till like spring.
Okay.
Can I be included in fracas?
Oh, sure.
Originally, I had pledged that I would donate $75,000 to the project, and I've been thinking about it more. When we built the original shelter, I did various things that, you know, were fundraising. But I did a matching grant, matching donation. But I really only did that to specific people, you know, I talked to them, I wrote them a letter. But my thought now would be that, put it out to the whole general public that I am willing to donate that $75,000 as a matching donation fund, that anybody who gives a donation would be matched by this fund. If we could possibly, you know, raise $150,000 with my money instead of 75. And then I might also be willing to add some of my own on top of that to see that we get this project done. But I thought the original pledge, that is kind of what's going on in my mind, and not just to certain people, this is to anybody. Whether you give $25 or $100 or $250, you know, I constantly get those kind of things from all the charities that send me, you know, requests. And it is good if it really is a true match. So, but if it's put locally by someone, I'll put an ad in the paper or whatever we can, or you guys, and just say, this is, you know, how we're gonna try to raise it. And anybody and everybody,
So you would match up to $75,000 more?
yes.
That's what you're saying, right?
Yes, if the public can raise $75,000, I will match that $75,000.
And I guess the question is,
Well, it doesn't have to be even, they can raise 50.
if they only raise 50, then
No.
you're just matching 50.
I know,
Well, yes, I could match the 50, but I would still be giving the
Oh,
building
this is-
fund that
Okay.
25 or
Okay.
maybe even more.
I think that's very generous and everything. I think
Yeah.
at this point, it's a little too early until we find out what we need.
Right, I'm just telling you
Yeah.
guys in advance though, that's what's been going on in my mind of how to raise more money with my money if we can.
And I think we've talked about before, we can take some of the funds from the gift fund,
Right,
because that's a special project or need, and that's what the gift fund was set up for. But again, I think at this point,
they were talking 50.
we got a lot of other questions that have to be answered first, before we can come up with, you know, really anything, any dollar amount or anything. So, okay, any other comments or questions or anything else anybody has? Okay, our next scheduled meeting is March 21st at 8:30 here. We'll try and find out, I did find out one thing. The question was about why the animal shelter was paying for the air conditioner. It goes by the building, not by the fund. So if the building, because it was an animal shelter building, and if the air conditioner went out by lightning or whatever reason, then that building or that entity has to pay for it. So if something goes wrong here in the courthouse, it's the courthouse maintenance fund. It's by building, not by maintenance over the whole thing, so that's why that got charged.
But then it's paid for through the city and the county, like,
Well, part of it is,
it's not being taken up, right?
part of it, well, it's being paid by the city, county, right? And it comes out of the budget, and then 40% of the budget, or most of the expenses are paid by the city, right? So, okay, with that said, our next meeting will be March 21st, and we'll try and find out some of these answers and let you know if we're going to have another special meeting, or I'm thinking probably a Zoom meeting would be, so they don't have to come all the way up here or whatever. And how long that'll take, it might take more months to do this too, I mean, who knows, but we'll check into some of that and see what goes. So thank you all for coming,
Can
and
I ask one more question? I'm sorry. How much does microchipping cost for, an individual animal?
Depends on where you go.
Do you have microchipping available at the shelter?
I haven't done it yet, because in order for us to, number one, you need like 2 people to give a microchip, and I rarely have 2 people available. So if you buy them in bulk,
Mhm.
it's like, and you can't quote me on this, cause it's on my list of things to do.
Just an estimate, yeah.
It's usually, I think the last time I looked, it was $400 and some for a bulk microchip. But then you would sell them for $25 or $20, and you would make, it would be like a 300-400% profit out of that. Cause the more you buy, the cheaper they are.
Sure.
If you buy a box of 15 or 20, it's gonna cost you a couple $100, and you're really not making, you're not getting any extra donations out of that. So, it is something that we would like to do in the future.
Mhm.
It's just a matter of, I don't have enough. If someone comes in and says, I want a microchip, and I'm by myself, those are really big needles. You don't always want owners holding, because if the cat or the dog has a little freak out or something, cause it is a big needle. I don't want an owner getting scratched or bit or something like that, so it's just, I don't have enough time or enough, to do it, but it is something that I would like to do
Okay,
eventually.
well, my question would be, okay, say I donated a certain amount of money
Mhm.
to get you microchips. Could you microchip the animals that are going out and being adopted?
Yes.
As opposed to, okay, someone could come in and
Right.
ask you to do one,
Right.
but microchipping the ones that are going out would
Yep.
help with
It's
some of
the
the
answer.
problems of strays or other things. And then if it was during the day and you had your help there, you could be microchipping any
Yep.
dog that goes out of there, unless
cat.
someone's adopting and said, I don't want you to do it.
Well, if we were doing, they would be done,
I think they saw that.
they'd be
before.
done regardless of
That's,
if they wanted us to do it or not. I guess if they're shelter animals and they're not adopted, they would all be microchipped. If it was up to me, they would all be microchipped, and they would all have other tests done, but that's a whole nother ballgame.
Okay, I know you got a lot to
But
do,
yes.
but if you can find
Yeah, I
out a
think that's a
price,
fun-
that'd be
Yep.
something I'd be willing to donate to,
Okay.
because I think that's
It's a good
important.
thing to
I have
have.
all my pets microchipped, I've had them, and I think it's a good thing,
Yep.
so, okay.
And people do ask, and I could offer them to, impound animals that come in that, we don't know who the owner is sometimes, and they could be offered that way too because then those aren't ours if they're getting reclaimed, but then it could be offered as well. But I think the last one I looked up, it was $400 and some, and I don't remember how many microchips were in there, but it was a good deal.
Okay,
It was a good deal.
How many cats and dogs come in are microchipped? Very many, or
Very few,
very few?
very few are microchipped, very few are vaccinated, very few are fixed.
Need a service line, I mean, it's somebody just to do all this stuff with animals.
is there any new news about when Purple Cat might be returning?
I doubt there are no veterinarians.
I know,
Lady Smith Vet only has one vet now, so they're, like I said, they're booked to October. So I have a very hard time, that's why the two dogs are getting transferred to St. Paul. Number one, they're extremely unsocialized, no longer they stay at the shelter, the worst, those dogs are in those kennels for 18 hours alone.
Yeah.
And a cat is one thing, which is, it's not good for the cats either, cause they do like companionship, but dogs in particular, especially dogs that are under socialized or haven't had a lot of contact, being left in a kennel for 18 hours by themselves, it does not do them any good. So they're going to a rescue that actually is specifically for that breed, and they have foster homes, cause I'm not gonna
What kind are they?
They're border collies,
Okay.
and they're purebred border collies.
Mm.
So that is where they're going. But, yeah, and I wouldn't do that,
Right.
but you got a huge risk of, cause then I gotta wait for them to get fixed, which could take a whole month. One's a male, one's a female, they're both intact, so you know that, one and one is two. So, yeah, there is a vet shortage and it makes things a lot harder, especially seasonal.
When that is.
Because they can't, I think, it's really expensive to go to vet school.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
And, I think that a lot of clinics aren't paying them enough,
Oh,
to cover their student loans, number one. And then there is a lot of, if you didn't know this, there's a lot of, I'm gonna use the word grief. There's a lot of stress, physical, emotional, when you work in animal care. So, and a lot of vets and vet techs, we do everything, we're not just like a neurologist, or we're not just you know what I'm saying, like,
Mhm.
we do everything. So there's a high percent of veterinarians and certified vet techs that do commit suicide. So there's probably a lot that don't wanna deal with it,
oh.
just because of, you know, and when you have to euthanize a lot of animals and all that stuff too, and it's not humans, but I'm sure there's a lot.
So when you work with the animals enough, they become more.
Right, and I
human, so to
think,
speak. That, yeah.
and a lot of them get a lot of grief from, you know, customers and clients, and some of them just, it's a lot. That's probably why. Fees are too high, I don't get paid enough, hours are, you know, 24/7. So,
Okay, anything else from anybody? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Okay, we're adjourned at 9:45. Thank you all for coming on this beautiful snowy day. It's really gorgeous out there.
it is, and it's beautiful, the roads,